Math Warriors, welcome to the video on combinations and permutations, how to use your TI-30XS, which is the calculator you will be able to use on your GED exams. This video is brought to you by GED Talk. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So as I mentioned in the other videos that we have shared with you, you're going to receive a reference sheet when you take the math exam. However, those functions that you see on that reference sheet, that's not it. Your calculator can do more. And so we want to learn these tricks in case we need to use the calculator for something like combinations and permutations. So I already mentioned that when it comes to combinations, you probably learned how to figure out the answer with maybe a table. They told you, hey, list out your options, and then you'll be able to figure out your answer from there. However, why are we going to do this by hand and take up more time when the calculator can do it for us? So this is really important for you to make sure you understand that it's only with one type of item. So if the question is asking you about how many different combinations of outfits Johnny can have if he has 6 pairs of pants, 3 pairs of shoes, and 7 shirts, that will be done by using the fundamental counting principle. But as you can see from the example on the screen, there are only one type of combination or large group to select from, and that's the fruit. And so we're going to be able to use our calculator with this one. So the first thing you want to make sure you do is obviously read your question so you know if it's a combination or permutation question. It'll give you a hint by saying how many combinations. Next, you need to find out the total number of items you get. This is the larger group and will be represented with the variable n. Then you need to find out the number of combinations you want from that larger group, and this would be represented by the variable r. If you're confused because you didn't even know there were variables involved in finding combinations, don't worry, we're about to take a look at the calculator and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So as I mentioned, we have an example on the screen. It says you have a total of 4 fruits to choose from and only want 2 different kinds. How many combinations of 2 kinds of fruit can you buy? My total number, which is going to be represented by the variable n, is 4. The smaller number, which is 2, is going to be the number of combinations I would want from that larger group, and that's going to be represented by the variable r. So once I know this information, I'm going to come over to my calculator, and in the second row, second key in from the left, you'll see PRB. So that's going to be the key that we use. So the first thing I need to do is insert the larger number. What is that group, that big group? So I'm going to press the 4 key, and then I'll come up here where it says PRB. I'm going to press that key, and you're going to notice a small menu that pops up. NPR, NCR. Number 2 is what we want for this example. That is our combinations. So I'm going to press the 2 key, or I can use my arrow keys to move down to the number 2 option. And then once I get back on my main screen, there are those variables I was talking about, n and the r. The 4 is for n, which is the larger group, and now we have to put in what the r stands for, which is how many combinations do we want out of this larger group. For my example, I want 2, so I'm going to press the 2 key, and then I'll press enter, and there is the answer for you. So let's go ahead and try a different example. You are choosing 4 of your friends for a special trip. Your friends Joe, Mary, Lori, Chris, and Zach are excited to see who's going. Out of your 5 friends, how many teams of 4 are possible? Order does not matter. Since order does not matter because I'm making a selection, then I'm going to use my combination function. So what is my total number that I get? 5. Then I'm going to come up to the PRB key and I'm going to press that, choose number 2 for combinations, And then what is my variable r standing for? We're going to say 4. I want to see how many teams of 4 are possible. And then I'll press enter, and there's your answer, folks. There are 5 different teams that you could create out of your friends to go on this trip. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we can use the calculator now to figure out permutations using that same key. So permutations is when you arrange several items out of a larger group, and order does matter. So remember, combinations you select, order does not matter, and then permutations you arrange when order does matter. For example, how many possible sequences are there if you have 4 things to do in one day? Order matters because you can only complete one activity at a time, and once it's completed, it's no longer an issue. So once again, first make sure you read your question so you know if it's combination, permutation, and the question will give you a hint, hopefully by saying something like how many possible sequences, how many possible orderings. And the same way we were figuring out the combinations when we were looking for the total number of items, variable n, and the number of combinations we want when the order does matter from that larger group, which will be r. So when you have those two numbers, let's get to our calculator and then see what the answers are. So the example on the screen reads, there's a race with 10 runners and only prizes for the first 3 who pass the finish line. How many possible sequences of the top 3 prize winners are there? This makes sense. It's a race, so they have first, second, and third place. So what we're going to do is, an order obviously does matter. So what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and press 1 and 0. I need 10 because that's the total number. Then I'm going to press my PRB key, and now I want option 1, NPR. So either use your arrow keys to, well, I guess you don't even need to use your arrow keys because it's the first one. So either press enter, or you can press 1, and then you're going to see it on your screen. 10 NPR. How many do I want out of this? I want 3. So once I've inputted all that information, I will press enter, and I have 720 different sequences, possible sequences for these runners. Let's try another one. You forgot your password that has 5 characters. How many possible sequences of those 5 characters are there? So this is interesting because you're going to be like, hey, neither one is larger than the other. That was what kind of was helping me out. This isn't any different, folks, than this permutation or the combination examples we saw. Okay, the larger group is 5. There's 5 characters, and they want to know how many sequences of those 5 characters are there. So we're going to come to our calculator, and same thing. 5, it's my larger group, PRB, and I want the first one, NPR, so I'll select it, and then I want 5 out of that group. Order matters. And I'm going to press enter. I have 120 different sequences that could be used for this password. Awesome. Let's look at a third example. You have 6 tasks to complete at work, but know you can only complete 4. How many orderings of the 4 tasks are there? So when it says, or when it asks how many orderings, we know sequence matters. So I'm going to do another permutation. What is my large group that I'm going to pull from? 6 PRB, number 1. What do I want from it? I'm only going to be able to do 4 tasks. Let's see how many different sequences or orderings I have. 360 different orderings. So that was it, you guys, for this video. Like I said, this is brought to you by GED Talk. This is helping you out with those combination and permutation questions. Please remember that this PRB key is what you're going to be using when you want to find combinations and permutations. Also remember, this tip is not on the calculator reference sheet you will be receiving. So if you want to remember this trick, you need to make sure you practice using this key. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.